We conclude our series on local schools with a visit to the Long Trail School in Dorset. There we met up with the head of school, Colin Igoe, who is starting his second year at the helm of the school, which began in 1975. We met up with him for a conversation about what's going on up at Long Trail and some of the ideas and initiatives they are starting off the year with. We also talked about some of the other issues in education that have a national resonance, like the challenges schools are facing coming out of the COVID pandemic and artificial intelligence. Well, Headmaster Colin Igoe, thank you very much for making the time for our conversation today about what's going on at Long Trail School, how the new year is going. And I thought you reminded me that this is your second year here as headmaster. So how is year two different from year one shaping up so far?
Yeah, thanks for chatting and for coming to visit school. Year two is off to a good start. You know, I think the school is in a great position. We have really healthy enrollment. We have 248 students, which is the most students in the history of Long Trail, and distributed in a really healthy way of 6th grade through 12th grade. As you know well, I think we have the most beautiful place you could possibly want to learn in the mountains here in Dorset, and so great families and talented faculty, and had very little turnover from a teaching standpoint. So all of those things are really wonderful. And then for me, for year two, it feels different and not that year one didn't feel good. It was a great first year, but year two, just having relationships with people, understanding what the school year feels like in those culturally, but also just those nuances and idiosyncrasies that come with a community of our bells and our schedule and our traditions and our rituals, that you feel like there's a little bit more grounding. And then also on a personal, totally personal side, when we moved here last year, my wife was very pregnant. So I started July 1st and we had a baby July 9th. So that also feels a little bit more, a 1-year-old who's toddling around now is, I can't say easier, but at least a little different. So year two is good. It's really great. And so, Long Trail's a great place.
Hopefully you're getting a little more sleep at night.
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, are there any new programs or new initiatives or major changes or anything like that you're launching this year that you'd want the viewers to know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our academic program is incredibly strong, and I think many families are drawn here for the quality of the education, the classroom education that their students are going to receive, and whether that's in the middle school program or our IB diploma. And we've had, and especially as we've grown in size recently over the past few years, really this year a renewed effort to build out our co-curricular programming and make sure the whole student experience is robust and rich. And so there's some really exciting things that are happening there. And we know that, of course, your academic preparation is crucial, foundational, and that's one piece of your development, right? And one piece of the adolescent experience, and the other pieces are so important. So we have a new athletic director, and actually created a new position of an assistant director of athletics and admissions. So someone who will be helping to continue to strengthen our athletic programming, and also helping in admissions with a particular focus on our international admissions. And that pairs nicely with our brand new, our new and beautiful state-of-the-art field house, and then also our long legacy of strong arts programs, and additional co-curricular programming that's really taken off under our director of student life, Sam Krause, who's a Long Trail alum, including things like, as you pulled in, you probably saw the buses pulling out for a mountain bike trip. So outing clubs, those kids are heading up to the Northeast Kingdom to go camping and mountain biking for 2 days. Just this past Wednesday, we did our inaugural Long Trail School Mountain Day. And the whole school, we took a break from our normal schedule. We went over to Merck Forest in farmland. We all hiked Mount Antone. Every student and faculty member participated in some way. 91% of the students made it to the top, which is amazing. It was a spectacular day, beautiful, beautiful view. But more importantly, just the community building and the wellness, the physical wellness, the psychological wellness, the belonging it was great. We came back after the hike and had a barbecue here, and some of the Merck folks came down and joined us for the barbecue. And that's part of an evolving partnership between Long Trail and Merck Forest. And one of the ways that we see that continuing to develop, in addition to some of our e-classes that we partner with Merck Forest, as well as a lot of potential down the road for continued place-based education. There's just a real synergy between the two organizations, so that's exciting. We also have we've rekindled a relationship with a German school who we've historically had an exchange with, and their students, with COVID, obviously that took a break, but this year we're bringing it back. So German students will be coming to visit Long Trail in late October and doing homestays and here for about 10 days. And then we're still figuring out exactly the timing, but we will return that and have our students be in Germany and visit there probably. Yeah, well, I don't want to overpromise the date, but that partnership is back up and evolving, as well as the other trips and travel that's happening. We have trips to DC planned, trips to Boston, a nature's classroom trip with our middle school, and building out some other trips, whether it's international trips to Europe or our national parks trip that just occurred this past June and July. So, building and in some cases, rekindling, but also just really in a thoughtful, mission-aligned way, building that whole student experience. And next week is our homecoming, first for Long Trail, right? So we'll have a doubleheader for soccer games, boys and girls soccer. We'll have some food trucks, and dance team will perform. We'll have a homecoming dance on Friday night, and just thinking about how every aspect of the student development can be enriched in the classroom, but also in nature, in athletics, in arts, in travel and experience. So it's pretty exciting. And I think again, just fits in with who we are, with our mission and our values, and I think it's a fun time for the school.
Sounds like a lot going on.
Sorry for that, such a long-winded answer, but there is a lot going on.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was wondering, you weren't here at the school as the head during the pandemic, at least the heart of the pandemic. I'm never really sure if we're kind of out of the pandemic or not, but I guess I just wondered, as you look back and look to the present and then the future, how do you assess the impact the pandemic had on education in general and education here in specific? I mean, a lot of schools had to go to a hybrid kind of format. My recollection is that Long Trail reopened for in-person classes fairly quickly. But I just wondered, do you see any sort of lasting changes that the pandemic brought to education and the way you do things, or is it kind of back to 2019?
Such a good question. I think we'll probably be asking that question for quite some time. I wasn't here, as you said, during the heart of the pandemic, but one real point of pride is that the school remained open through COVID and managed it. Continued, educating kids and being in person as much as was safely possible, but never closed in person. And I think it's hard to state with any certainty the direct impact. And we know, nationally that some students are behind and not meeting certain benchmarks from reading or their math at grade level. I will say here, one of the strengths of the program is that we have small classes. We have teachers who really, really know their students well. And so I think have been able to meet those students where they are. And if there are any gaps or deficits, really work deliberately and intentionally on an individual basis to catch those up. So I think academically, and we'll see, we can't answer it with too much certainty, but I think academically our students are in a pretty good position. I think we see, and I see this both as a parent, but then as an educator too, that some of that socialization that the kids missed out on, there's an impact to that, right? There's an impact to knowing how to behave on the playground, the literal playground, but also the proverbial playground of adolescence, right? And there's an impact to missing sports and athletics, and knowing how to be a gracious winner and a good loser and a good, right? And so I think, to our earlier point, it's really, really important. If anything, I feel a renewed commitment and conviction to that holistic education, like not hiding behind screens, but having face-to-face conversations, building relationships, building community, understanding what it means to be an engaged member of your community. And I think our core values, we talk about them quite a bit because it's real, it's genuine. And so I think, really finding ways to bring those to light, to give students an opportunity to practice, to fail, to pick themselves back up, to move past that, to develop that important sense of resilience. That we knew that before the pandemic, but again, I think we as a community, and I certainly individually feel an increased conviction for the importance of that side of education. Are there some benefits or some, perhaps some silver lining that can come from that? Our students are really adept and savvy at navigating Google Classroom, right? At using teachers, I think, making sure that we're using technology in positive ways to enhance the in-person experience, not as a substitute. But I don't imagine there will be a substitute for in-person learning, right? That we've seen how not being in a community face-to-face with peers and teachers, really the toll that takes in all areas of life. So a little bit of a long-winded answer, but I feel confident about the things that we're doing as a school, and open to the fact that we may still see this play out over the coming years and have to respond.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Just to continue on a technology note, I was wondering, I'm sure you and your faculty have been thinking about how to deal with the ChatGPT phenomenon.
Yeah.
Number of educators I've spoken to so far see there's two sides to it, where on the one hand, it would be important for students to understand how to use it and how it works and what the potential benefits would be from it. On the other hand, there's the obvious concern that a student might have a term paper assignment that would be a lot easier to kind of go online and ask the right prompt to the program, and out comes your 700-word essay that is pretty well written. Mm-hmm. I just wondered, this is probably more of an upper school phenomenon. Mm-hmm. I imagine for your 6th or 8th graders, this is maybe less of a concern, but at the high school level, do you see the need, or have you been thinking about, we need to come up with some policy or regulation or restrictions, or we just sort of wait and see what happens before we kind of put something out on paper?
Yeah. It's fascinating, right? Because it's not just, obviously our focus is education, but it's all areas of life that are asking that question, and every industry, I think, is asking that question. As a school and as an educator, it's a tool and a resource, and it's not the first nor will it be the last time that a student could take a shortcut should they want to, right? Whether it's Cliff Notes, whether it's Google, whether it's your smartphone that you're walking around with all the time in life, it's a tool and a resource. And so I think incumbent on educators and schools to teach students and educate them how to use it, and how to use it well, and how to use it to enhance your education, enrich your education, not substitute your education. And then, again, to talk about our core values, integrity is one of our core values, right? And so in the same way you need to cite a source, if you are using any resource, you need to cite that. So that piece actually hasn't changed, right? But it's just that the output could be a whole lot better from ChatGPT. But if we're still educating about the importance of academic honesty and the importance about integrity and your own work and how you cite sources that you use, which you should use certain sources, that's similar, right? It's similar. But the upside is pretty tremendous too, right? That there is, much like using the internet to research. We just had a student who was talking about researching Romanticism impacting the rise of Nazi Germany, right? I mean, I think almost all of his research was done online. When I was in middle school and high school, I remember writing a term paper saying you cannot use online resources, right? Well, it turned out it probably would have been better to educate me how to use those online resources than to say you cannot. So I think you want to strike that balance. Yeah. We haven't made a new policy specifically addressing ChatGPT, and I don't know if we will, but we do talk about, like I said, those things that I think will be foundational no matter what technology comes, of honesty, of integrity, of citing sources, of good research. And I think the IB and the IB curriculum is really helpful in that. It's not about content, right? It's about using your mind well. It's about critical thinking. It's about defending your ideas, being open to other ideas. And so ChatGPT, I see personally as, another resource that can enhance learning and needs to be, we need to educate about how to use it well.
Well, you gave me the perfect segue. I was going to ask you about the IB program.
Yeah.
More enrollment in it this year than last year, or is it continuing to grow, or where does it stand at this point?
Yeah, we do have increased enrollment with our 11th grade. You need to decide as you enter 11th grade whether you'll be a full diploma candidate or just take some IB classes and not be a full diploma candidate. We do have increased enrollment in 11th grade. And as I move into a second year here, I think we can do a better job as a school of educating not only our current parents and students about the strength of the IB, but also the wider community. I mean, it's really a tremendous program. Students are well prepared for college. We hear that unanimously, that they are just prepared in a way their peers, when they get off to school, maybe aren't. And then also, I think, to the issues that we're seeing globally, whether it's a ChatGPT or whether it's discourse nationally, internationally, the learner profiles and the skills and attributes that the IB encourages, requires, and asks of students is really relevant. So increased enrollment, which we're happy about, and I think work to do to continue to infuse that spirit of IB, not only throughout our curriculum and with our parents, but more broadly.
And then finally, I'm interested in the fact that your enrollment here this year is the highest it's ever been in the entire school's history, going back to, 1975?
That's right.
How many towns in Vermont and perhaps in New York are you drawing students from? It must be quite a few at this point, and fairly widespread geographic area.
It is, and I'm embarrassed that I don't have the exact number to tell you right now. I want to say it's 31 towns, but it may be that may be a squishy number, but I can get you the exact number. But your point holds. It's a wide geographical footprint that we pull from. It's about an hour in every direction that students will come from to be educated at Long Trail, and in some cases even beyond that. We have a student from Chittenden, actually our student council co-president. He starts his day in Chittenden every morning, and mom drives him to the Rutland bus stop, and he takes the bus from Rutland down, and he's involved in everything. He's a soccer player and a basketball player, and participates in some theater things and student government, and then he's here till late in the afternoon and evening, and then heads back to Chittenden, I think with that comes a real responsibility that's not lost on us to make sure that we're fulfilling our promise to these kids, give them the best education we can. I think we're doing a really good job of that. But the geographical footprint is pretty impressive. We try to find ways to make that easy on families with buses and carpools and linking families together. And we want to serve. We want to serve as many kids as we can. And I think, for our sliver of Southern Vermont, we have a world-class school. It's amazing. And many, many of our students that can access that, who don't have public high schools in this area, right? But between our independent school system can access a world-class education. It's amazing. It's amazing. And we want as many students to access it as we can.
Okay, well, Colin Igoe, headmaster at Long Trail School, thank you very much for your time, and good luck this coming school year.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for coming to visit.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great chatting.
Long Trail School has seen its enrollment steadily grow in recent years, and this year's enrollment is its largest ever. It offers instruction to students from grades 6 through 12 and was the first school in Vermont to offer an International Baccalaureate, or IB, program to its students. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.